So today we're going to be talking about asymptotes, the vertical and horizontal. So remember, asymptotes is an imaginary line that your graph will follow or cross, not cross. So vertical, because it's your bottom equaling 0, it will never cross a vertical asymptote. So it cannot cross that. That's what it says, will not. So all we do is we set the bottom equal to 0, and then we solve it. And those give you your vertical asymptotes. Remember, vertical go up and down like this. So those are the lines. So this one right here, you can see I already did for you. So I found factors of -6 to get -5. So my vertical asymptotes are at 6 and -1. So we're going to do the same thing here with number 2. Set the bottom equal to 0. So factors of -8 to get 2. Let's see, plus 4 minus 2. So my vertical asymptotes are at -2, -4, and 2. I'm going to use a pen. It might be darker for you guys to see. All right, so number 3, when I set the bottom equal to 0, you would minus over your 9, and then you can't square root a negative, so this one has no vertical asymptotes. So that's possible for you not to have a vertical asymptote. So once you guys pause the video and do 4, 5, and 6, and after you've done them, unpause the video and come back. So hopefully you've paused it and you've gotten that the vertical asymptote for this one is -3/2. Vertical asymptote for this one is 5 and 2. And the vertical asymptote for this one is plus and minus 3. So when we do horizontal asymptotes, you guys, there are rules that we can have. It's an imaginary line that your graph approaches as you go far right and far left. So like if I was graphing a graph here, then as my graph goes off here to the right, this right here will be called a horizontal asymptote. And they can be different. I can have one up here for that side. So one side could go to horizontal asymptote here and here. But it's just an idea that your graph will approach the number as you go to the right and the left. So in order to find them, we're going to follow these rules here. So we're talking about your exponents. So we're looking at your highest exponent in the denominator and the numerator, and we're comparing them. So if the top has a higher exponent, then we get does not exist. We write that as D and E. So if the top is higher, D and E. The bottom is higher, you go to 0. And if they're the same, you're going to divide. So same divide. So top D and E, bottom 0, same divide. And that's because if your top is growing faster, then you're getting a large number on top. That's why it goes to D and E. If your bottom is growing faster, then you're having like 1/1,000,000. 1/1,000,000 is almost 0. So that's why. So right here we have x over x squared. So the bottom is larger. If you look at the exponents, the bottom is larger. So we're going to say that our horizontal asymptote is y equals 0. This right here is an example of rule 3. They're the same, x squared over x squared. So you divide your leading coefficients 1 by 1. So my horizontal asymptote here is 1. This one I have an x cubed over an x. So this is rule 1. The top is bigger because it's a 3 and a 1. So we're going to say that our horizontal asymptote does not exist. So there'll be no line for them to follow. And I'll teach you how to do that problem later on when we're actually graphing in about a week. So go ahead and pause the video, try 4, 5, 6, and 7 on your own. Once you have the answers, unpause the video, and then go ahead and check your answers. So I got horizontal asymptote of 2 because it's the same, so I divided. Top was bigger, that's why it's D and E. Bottom's bigger, 0. This one was the same, so that's a 2/5 there. All right, so last thing, when we talk about domains and ranges, is that we just need to exclude our vertical asymptote. So vertical asymptote gets excluded for the domain. We're going to eventually learn that that you can exclude for your range or horizontal asymptote sometimes, but it doesn't always work where it's every time. Domain is every time. So it's whatever it was. So our first answer, we had 6 and -1. So remember, to exclude a number, we just write them with parentheses for all the numbers. So you write smallest to largest always. So number 2, we are excluding -2 and 4. So we're just putting the -4 and the 2 in those spots. So number 3 up here, there were no vertical asymptotes. That makes my domain negative infinity to infinity. 4, my vertical asymptote was at negative 3/2. So x cannot equal negative 3/2. Let's see. 5. I'm just going to write them down here. And then, so we have to exclude these numbers. So to exclude just one number, you just have to go negative infinity to the number, and then the number to infinity. Exclude 2 numbers looks like just the one above it. So the 2 is smaller, so it goes first. 5 is bigger, so it goes second. So we're going to say negative infinity to 2, 2 to 5, 5 to infinity. And then 6 is 2 numbers, so negative infinity to negative 3. It's always smallest to largest when you're writing these. Good job.